This is part 2 of the Cactus Mouse tutorial, and in this part we've finished the mouse and we're moving on to the Cactus Mouse's accessories. And we're going to start out by working with the little book, and there are 4 pieces to the book, so it's pretty straightforward. You just choose any 2, it doesn't matter what order you do this, right sides together. And you're going to sew around each one of these, leaving a 1-inch opening so that you can turn it right sides out and press it if you like. So you'll do that for both of those. And when you're done, you're going to arrange them. You'll have 2 little page sections, and you're going to arrange them one on top of the other. And then just stitch down the center so that it is actually a little book, and then you can flip through the pages. It's up to you whether or not you want to press this flat. I kind of like it with the puffy look. In any case, before you do the stitching down the center, you will want to slip stitch your openings closed, or you can do it by machine, it doesn't matter. It's pretty straightforward. So that's your little book, very easy to do that. The second thing is the little backpack, and there are 2 smaller rectangles of fabric, and on yours you'll see some dots. I think they're white dots, and that's going to tell you where to place the ribbon. And so the materials list for the doll says to purchase 1 yard of ribbon, and from that 1 yard you want to snip off 2 4-inch pieces, and then you're going to just fold those little pieces of ribbon in half and pin them to the inside on the dots. And these are the little arm straps for the backpack. So just pin that in place. And then it's the same sort of thing as before. You get your other piece of fabric, put it on here, right sides together, pin if you want, stitch all the way around, leave maybe a 1.5, 2-inch opening, whatever you like, turn it right side out and press again. And you're going to get something that looks like this. So these are the little arm straps. And then you'll notice that your backpack is divided kind of into a 2/3 section and then a shorter 1/3 section. And this is the flap. So what you want to do is fold up the longer flap till the edges are even with the ribbon. And you can pin that if you want to, it doesn't matter. And then, I'm going to pin it lengthwise just to show you here what's going to happen. So then you can either machine stitch down those edges, or you can slip stitch these edges closed by hand. It doesn't matter either way. If you machine stitch close to the edge, you're going to have a little seam allowance, but that's fine, because what this will do is it will allow you to have a little reversible backpack. So here you've got the seed fabric facing out, but if you get tired of that, you can turn it inside out and you can have a different fabric as the outside. And it'll still fold up just fine. And this is the linen cotton canvas. It's a little bit thicker. So there you go. You have a little different backpack, and because you folded right to those ribbons, the little arm straps are still going to be usable. So that's pretty easy to do. It's a very cute little backpack. The little book fits inside perfectly, so that's a nice little package. And so then the next thing is the pillow. So you actually have 2 options here. So you'll have, depending on which fabric you've purchased, you either have 1 or 2 cactus plant pillows. One of them is a little bit taller than the other one, so you'll notice that right away when you're matching them up. But both of them have this little brown ellipse piece on the bottom, and that's so that the pillow can sit flat on the ground. But if you don't want to deal with this, then that's fine. You can just use these 2 pieces of fabric, just stitch all the way around, leave about a 2-inch opening, turn it right sides out and stuff. So if you do want to have the little flat bottom, you would stitch around the long curved side and leave about a 2-inch opening to turn it. And then you're just going to have to pin this in place around, and you'll have your little seam allowances here. And the cactus part is a little bit bigger than the ellipse part, and I did that on purpose so that it would have some extra poof out so that it would help it sit flat. It doesn't matter if you want to use it. It's a little bit of a pain to pin around and then stitch, and again, everything is 1/4 of an inch seam allowance for all of this stuff. But if you do it, it's a little easier to stand it up so that the cactus mouse can kind of lean against it. But again, it's your choice what you want to do. Then the last piece is the little skirt or the cape. And in this case, you'll have 2 larger pieces of fabric. We have a cholla cactus and we have mesquite flower fabrics. And so it's the same thing as before. You're going to have your pieces of fabric and you're going to put them right sides together so that we're making another reversible thing here. And this section can be used as either a skirt or a cape. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to show this with the shorter sides. So this is the side, and one of these would be the top or the bottom. What you're going to do is leave the top 1 inch of each of the short sides unsewn. So you're going to sew down the rest of this short side, this long side, all the way to the end, up the other side, and then leave that far 1 inch unsewn. And then you're going to sew along the top here. So what you're going to have is 2 holes, 2 1-inch holes. And you can use those to turn. If you think that that's too small for you to turn it right sides out, then you can leave another longer section open over here. It just sort of depends on the thickness of the fabric that you've purchased and how you feel about turning it through that 1-inch opening. So then, after you've sewn that, turn it right sides out, and I do suggest that you press this one. You're going to have a reversible thing, and then with the remaining ribbon, you're going to make your little drawstring, either a little waist tie or it's the little tie around the neck if you're going to use this as a cape. So after you've turned it right side out, you'll have an opening at the top of these shorter sections, and you want to make that into a casing. If you just leave it open, then the ribbon will float around inside here. So what you want to do is stitch a line, and it doesn't really show up on camera here because I used kind of matching thread. You want to stitch a line 3/4 or 1 inch down from the top. It doesn't matter, it's kind of dependent on what width ribbon that you've purchased. So just go ahead and stitch that all the way along, and then you're going to put the ribbon through, use a safety pin or a bodkin, whatever you have to get your ribbon all the way through. And then what you want to do is you want to get your Cactus Mouse doll, and here's our little finished doll, and you want to put the fabric, the skirt, around the waist, and you're going to gather it on the ribbon so that it just meets at the waist. And then you will pin the ribbon in place so that you know that this length here will fit around the waist, and then the rest of this will be used as a tie. So you pin the ribbon at this end, and then you pin the ribbon at this end, and then you just stitch across right here, and that prevents the ribbon from getting pulled all the way through and losing it, which would be kind of a pain. So once you've done that, you'll have your skirt, and you can tie it in the back, and if you want to use the little fabric piece as a cape, it's still an appropriate length to put around the shoulders and tie as a bow here. So it doesn't matter, you can use it either way, and that'll be fine. And once you've done that, you have a full set of accessories and toys for your little cactus mouse and for your child to play with. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks again. Bye-bye.